really do young people in here, and a lot of voices, again, people of color, because again, this is sad. These white folks that really do care are out here busting their ass for us.
Yeah, no, I was getting ready to say, I'm grateful for our allies.
Absolutely.
You got some people who are of a Caucasian descent that have dedicated their entire lives to the uplifting abolitionist work of freeing Black people. And I'm grateful for that. But I also believe in return that we have to, as our generation, we have to be more than a social media post.
Yes.
We've got to show up. We've got to be a part of the structures and the systems. We can't just protest and not come to the table and actually create that change that we also desperately desire to see. I think it's essential for us to have the relationship with the older generation that have actively been doing the work. I think that relationship should resemble something similar to the Paul and Timothy scenario, when Paul was in a Roman jail cell, and Timothy being ready and charged up for ministry. Timothy went and sat outside of Paul's windowsill and received the wisdom of Paul. And Paul says, I know you're anointed, and I know that you have the capacity to do this work because your grandmother was anointed and your mother was anointed. And so I think that that generation prior to ours has to be there to affirm the work that we're wanting to do, and they have to be there to give wisdom to the work that we are wanting to do. But I think as prophetic as our generation could be, we are sometimes pathetic when it comes down to utilizing wisdom. We are so emotional sometimes, and quite the microwave of a generation, that we want something quick, that we don't utilize the structures of wisdom and the avenues that are systemically already at our generation of lost testimonies.
Correct. No, we were sitting there and see, you do a lot of work all over the place, but you're between Atlanta and Memphis. And so how is the movement, especially in Memphis? Because we're from Memphis. So how is the movement in Memphis? Because you I've seen a lot of pictures of you at Mason Temple, and I'm like, I wonder what they think about that.
I haven't necessarily gotten the response that I'd like to get from the Church of God in Christ as it pertains to a lot of these massive moments. As it pertains to a lot of these massive moments that a lot of us see on our TV screens. One thing I can say, and I love to see, is Bishop Sheard, oftentimes making sure that he's putting a statement out, in regards to like Tyree or George Floyd or whatever those.
Put a statement out?
Yeah. But I think it's a bit bigger than just a statement. I think it's a bit bigger than just, having a moment, having a camera moment, or hosting a press conference. The time has moved dramatically beyond the scope of that type of work. I think that work is necessary. But we have to get to the table and create systemic changes, which is one of the things that we've been doing here in Dallas with Mark Cuban on dismantling title loan lending practices that have taken advantage of Black communities and underbanked communities. So I oftentimes go back when we're leading these marches and protests, and we end up at Mason Temple, not for the Church of God in Christ's sake, but to take us back to the moment where Dr. King once envisioned a more freeing, a more promising, a more inclusive society.
Yes.
So when I oftentimes lead our groups there, it is for that moment, not necessarily for the Church of God in Christ, if you will. To which I love our dear old church, and I have a great degree of regard and respect for it. But as it pertains to the movement, the reason why the Black Lives Matter movement was birthed is because of the silence of the Black church. So it has been like the dad that you love and that lives in the house, but hasn't necessarily been present to be a father. Systemically already at our accessibility to be able to create that change and then move the needle past the change that's already available.
with that, you said something earlier. We was talking about Mason Temple and Church of God in Christ. With both of us being a part of this church, this is not the point, but this is the point. With both of us being a part of this grand old church, and Martin Luther King said his famous speech at Mason Temple, and just the movement and all of these great people coming through this church, Church of God in Christ. I mean, Bishop Ford, Bishop Owens, Bishop G.E. Patterson, and Blake, and you even had the likes of George Bush coming through there. You had Clinton that came through there, and just all of these, and Jimmy Carter, all of these people that came through the Church of God in Christ, but yet and still, we don't need your post. We don't need your statement. These people were involved. When Emmett Till, boy, let me see something. Wait a minute, hold on, because I feel a little oboe shy. When Emmett Till died, who was there? Bishop L.H. Ford. I know he looked like a white man back then, but Bishop L.H. Ford was right, huh?
We have that. I said the church has to be present.
And nobody is saying anything. They're quick to tell you about you going to hell, you damnation, and God is not pleased. And I'm like, baby, we're a nation that's going to be falling by the wayside if we don't get up out of our comfort zones and our houses and fight. Now, with that fight being said, because we have been lackadaisy for so long, I feel my shana now real quick. Because we have been lackadaisy for so long, when we do step in to fight, we're going to lose some people. We'll win, but we're going to lose some people in the fight. But we gotta fight. We gotta fight back and take our ground, take our stand, and all of those, because we've taken so long and we've been so passive with so many things that's going on. And the only time that we say anything is when it comes down to the death of our black and brown people, that we get out here and we march and we bust up buildings. And really the busting up building ain't really us, it's white folks, but that's a whole nother conversation. But we're out here marching and picketing signs and all these other things like that. I'm like, hey, we need to be doing this on a regular basis, and not only marching, but we have to do it in such a way to where there is no killing of black folks.
Yeah.
Because if we do go to the Capitol, we have to do it in such a way to where it doesn't cause chaos and confusion. Because what them white folks did was chaotic and confusion.
Well,
and
just a year prior, we were at the Capitol, and they had more National Guard and more Capitol police officers than we could count.
Mm-hmm.
And there were far more of them on January the 6th than there were of us for a simple meeting of the March on Washington, Million Man March. It's just incredible to see the way we are treated when we come together and stand for something. It's incredible to see, primarily because they know when black folks finally get on the same page, they do something. They got to say something. They got to do something. They got to change something. They got to shake up something, because when black folks get together, start tying our arms together and linking our arms in different generations, and you start seeing your Al Sharptons link arms with your Tamika Mallory's, and your Tamika Mallory's are linking arms with your Devontae Hills, and your Devontae Hills are linking arms with your Amber Paxtons. And when all these generations start coming together, white folks got to do something. They got to They got to do something. They got to change.
Y'all, I said this to you all last week. I said, I am not worried about the church. Okay. I said, I am not worried about the church. I'm not worried about the church. I'm not even, looking for the church to step in to do anything but what the church has been doing thus far. And that's nothing. Nothing at all. The only time they going to government is when they want some money. And I mean, sad to say, but it's just so true. Only time you're going to see the church folks coming to the government is when they want some money or when they need this or when they need that. Ain't nobody. Baby, we need to be absolutely at the table. I said this before, I said it again. The church leaders need to be at the table hearing what's going on because you are the leaders in the community. And the politicians and everything come to you to find out what's going on, to find out how to get your people to vote for them so that they can make the decisions in the community. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. But we're not doing anything. The church leaders are sitting back. But we see everybody else outside the church talking about it. Nobody inside. Nobody inside. So Memphis, Tennessee is in cahoots with Ron DeSantis. With Ron DeSantis. And they're in cahoots trying to pass bills, pass laws. And like I told them when I was at the meeting just this week, I said, this has nothing to do with white men. Matter of fact, this has nothing to do with white people, but this has all to do with black and brown individuals and the LGBTQIA.